The world never stops moving, and in the last 24 hours, we've witnessed tensions escalate between global superpowers. Tragic disasters claim innocent lives, and political decisions that could reshape international relations for years to come. From Washington to Tehran, from Pyongyang to Brussels, today's events remind us just how interconnected and fragile our global order truly is. I'm breaking down the 12 most significant developments you need to know about. Let's get started. Trump on Iran executions. Our first story takes us to Washington, where President Donald Trump made a striking claim about Iran. According to Trump, Iran has halted its executions, a statement that comes amid growing international concern over the fate of detained anti-government protesters. For context, Iran has faced massive criticism from human rights organizations for its crackdown on dissent following widespread protests. While Trump's statement suggests a potential diplomatic breakthrough, independent verification remains difficult. Critics argue this could be a negotiating tactic, while supporters see it as evidence of American pressure yielding results. The truth, as always in geopolitics, likely lies somewhere in between. Denmark-Greenland Dispute. Crossing the Atlantic to Scandinavia, tensions between the United States and Denmark over Greenland continue to simmer. Denmark's foreign minister confirmed that a fundamental disagreement with President Trump remains unresolved. However, in what appears to be a diplomatic olive branch, both nations have agreed to form a working group to seek common ground. Trump's interest in Greenland, whether for its strategic Arctic position, natural resources, or military significance, has been a source of friction. Denmark maintains that Greenland is not for sale, but the creation of this working group suggests both sides recognize the need for continued dialogue rather than confrontation. Thailand train disaster. Now to a devastating tragedy in Thailand. At least 29 people have lost their lives, with dozens more injured after a construction crane collapsed onto a passenger train in the country's northeast region. The impact derailed the train and sparked a fire, turning what should have been an ordinary journey into a nightmare for passengers and their families. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, working through wreckage and flames to rescue survivors. Thai authorities have launched an immediate investigation into the cause of this disaster. Our thoughts go out to the victims, their families, and the first responders working tirelessly in the aftermath. This tragedy raises serious questions about construction safety protocols near active railway lines, U.S. military withdrawal from regional bases, back to escalating tensions between Washington and Tehran. The United States has begun withdrawing some personnel from military bases in the region following direct warnings from Iran. Tehran has made clear that any American attack on Iranian soil would be met with strikes on U.S. bases across the Middle East. This strategic repositioning signals that Washington is taking Iran's threats seriously. Military analysts suggest this could be either a de-escalation measure or preparation for potential conflict. The withdrawal affects several bases in several countries, though specific locations remain classified for security reasons. The question now is whether this move reduces tensions or emboldens Iranian leadership. North Korea rejects South's reconciliation. On the Korean peninsula, hopes for reconciliation have been dealt a significant blow. Kim Yo-jong, the influential sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, has dismissed South Korea's aspirations for improved relations as, quote, unrealistic. In a sharp rebuke, she criticized Seoul's recent comments about renewed talks, effectively slamming the door on diplomatic overtures. Kim Yo-jong has emerged as one of Pyongyang's most powerful voices, and her statements often reflect official policy. This rejection comes at a particularly sensitive time, as both Koreas continue to bolster their military capabilities. For now, the dream of Korean reconciliation remains just that, a dream. Iran military on high alert. Returning to the Middle East powder keg, Iran's military has been placed on its highest state of alert as American threats continue to escalate. Defense officials in Tehran have issued a stark warning. Any country that assists the United States in an attack on Iran will face retaliation. This message is clearly directed at Gulf states and other regional nations that host American military assets. Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps has reportedly activated air defense systems and mobilized ground forces. The international community watches nervously as two nations inch closer to a potential confrontation that could destabilize the entire region and send shockwaves through global energy markets. UK terrorism charge, Hezbollah flag. In the United Kingdom, a controversial legal case is making headlines. British prosecutors are seeking to reinstate a terrorism charge against Irish rapper Liam Ohana of the group NKAP. The charge stems from allegedly displaying a Hezbollah flag during a concert in London. Hezbollah, the Lebanese militant group, is designated as a terrorist organization in the UK, making public displays of support potentially illegal. The case raises complex questions about free expression, artistic liberty, and the boundaries of anti-terrorism laws. Defense advocates argue the prosecution is overzealous, while supporters say the law must be applied consistently. The court's decision could set important precedent for similar cases. Germany, Iranian embassy flag incident. Staying in Europe, German authorities have arrested 2 individuals for tearing down the Iranian embassy flag in what appears to be a protest action. While the motivation behind the act remains under investigation, it likely connects to ongoing anger over Iran's human rights record and treatment of protesters. Embassy premises are protected under international law, making such actions criminal offenses regardless of political intent. The arrests highlight the tension between public anger at authoritarian regimes and the legal protections afforded to diplomatic missions. Both individuals now face charges, though they may receive support from activist communities. Russian drone strikes in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine continues with no end in sight. Russian drone strikes have targeted critical infrastructure in Krivoy, a major industrial city in central Ukraine. The attacks have cut power to more than 45,000 customers and severely disrupted heating supplies, a devastating blow as temperatures remain frigid. Russia's strategy of targeting civilian infrastructure has been condemned by international observers as a war crime, yet the attacks persist. Ukrainian emergency crews work around the clock to restore services, but each repair is followed by new strikes. For ordinary Ukrainians, survival through winter has become a daily battle against both the cold and continued Russian aggression. China-US trade tensions. In the economic arena, China has fired back at American criticism of trade practices. Beijing is blaming the United States for global trade imbalances as its own trade surplus has reached a staggering record of $1.2 trillion. Chinese officials argue that American consumption patterns and monetary policies, not Chinese manufacturing, are responsible for the deficit. Washington disagrees, pointing to what it calls unfair trade practices, currency manipulation, and intellectual property theft. This war of words reflects deeper structural tensions between the world's 2 largest economies. As tariffs and restrictions continue, global supply chains remain caught in the crossfire. Minneapolis immigration clashes. Domestically, in the United States, tensions over immigration enforcement have exploded into street confrontations. 8 people were arrested in Minneapolis after clashes broke out near the site where Renee Good was shot. Immigration agents deployed tear gas to disperse crowds as the situation escalated. The incident reflects the deep divisions in American society over immigration policy, enforcement tactics, and the treatment of immigrant communities. Protesters argue that aggressive enforcement creates fear and violates rights, while authorities maintain they are upholding the law. With immigration remaining a flashpoint issue, similar confrontations seem increasingly likely across the nation. Romania, psychologists' law controversy. Finally, in Romania, a proposed law is sparking fierce debate in the healthcare community. The legislation would tie psychologists' right to practice to their income levels, a move critics say could devastate mental health care access. Mental health advocates argue this creates a 2-tier system where only the wealthy can afford proper care. The Romanian government defends the measure as regulatory reform, but opposition continues to mount. In a world already facing a mental health crisis, such policies warrant careful scrutiny. And that wraps up the most significant geopolitical developments of the last 24 hours. The world keeps turning, and I'll keep you informed. If you found this breakdown valuable, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay curious.